Last week, I spoke with Davina. Riveting, absolutely awesome testimony that we were getting to hear. And I think it is so important for people to share their testimonies because we know that God is no respecter of persons. And what he does for one person, he'll do for another. He works in all of our lives because each one of us is precious in his sight. So last week, speaking to Sister Davina, wow, awesome. Her life in the restaurant industry in England, the way it took a downward spiral as a result of certain events, how it took an upward climb as she decided that she needed to make changes in her life. The way the Lord kept chasing after her and how that was manifested in this phone call that she got from a friend she hadn't spoken to in a long time. Just a wonderful, wonderful testimony. So now we're back for part 2, and we can't wait to hear what kind of new path she started to follow and how that unfolds. So here's Sister Davina.
So thank you, Lauren. It's good to be back to share the part 2 of my story. So fast forwarding, part 2 began when I was searching for a course in health and wellness, something in nutrition. I wanted to change my career and I wanted to learn and understand more about how to optimize my own health. So I started a search, and you search Google, and I could not find exactly what I wanted, right? So I decided to go back to NCU, and I said, okay, I would do dietetics there. So I registered, and I started making all my plans to leave the UK and come back here to study dietetics. And I'm thinking that would take me to where I wanted to go. I didn't exactly want to do dietetics because I really wanted to go into natural health, but I thought that would give me a start to lead me on my road to becoming a naturopathic doctor, because that was my aim. All right, I registered, then searched again. Yeah, one day the Holy Spirit just said to me, go and search again online. And I went searching again online, and this advertisement popped up where Newbold College, that's the Adventist University in the UK, they were advertising a health and wellness course that they would run over the summers. For a month over the summers. And I thought, wow, I read it up and I thought, wow, this is exactly what I want to do. And I thought, yes, I'm going here to do that. And I remember I looked at the price, and it was something like for £4,000 for one summer. And I said, God, I want this, but I don't know where the money's going to come from. I'm not going to go out with no begging bowl. I'm not begging anybody anything. I'm not asking for any help, but I want to do this course. Anyway, I was on their site still, and then I just started scouting around on their site. I even looked at other courses. I even looked at religion, and I saw a section that said jobs, and I went into it, and I thought to myself, what are you doing? Are you going searching for a job, and you know you will never ever work for anyone, right? I then continued looking, and I thought to myself, Davina, time wasted will never be regained. Stop. And I kept going on just the same. And then I saw a job in the catering department, and I read up the requirements, and I thought to myself, but this is just up my street. I tick every single box on here. And so I started filling out the application form. When I started filling out the application form, I realized I needed to upload a CV. Now my CV was expired, right? So I actually started uploading my CV, and then I realized, no, there's even grammatical errors on the CV that you need to change. There are a few things that you need to take off. And then one thing that I also wanted to take off, because I was writing a book then, and I had that on my CV, but I wanted to take it off. I'm not sure why is it I did not want to apply for the job with that on it, that I am an upcoming author, because I was quite far ahead in my book, right? So I tried to apply for it, but then I said, all right, I needed to update the CV, so I wouldn't apply for it now. I'm going to come back and finish at a later time, finish the uploading of this CV after I've edited the CV. So I left it and I went away. Then the Lord reminded me, and He reminded me on a Friday. And I was in a rush, so I couldn't upload the CV at that time. I couldn't edit the CV because it would take too long. So I left it and I thought, okay, I'll do it. Now that thing had a deadline by when you needed to upload and send the application form in. Now Lord reminded me a few times and I did not get around to editing and, changing the stuff on that CV until the last day, the day of the deadline. And again, it was a Friday. And this time it was even worse because the sun starts to set really, really early in the UK. And by this time, I was running my own business where I would supply Caribbean restaurants and cafes in the UK and individuals. I would supply cakes, Caribbean cakes. So I used to do like the Jamaican sweet potato pudding, the fruit cake, the carrot cake, the coconut cake, the banana cake. I used to supply those cakes to restaurants on a large scale in the UK. So it was a Friday and I needed to make deliveries. And it so happened that my deliveries on that Friday, was over on the other side of London, not the side that I live at, but the complete opposite end. And I'm thinking, I won't have enough time to come back and upload the CV, but I don't have time either to edit this CV before I go. Because if I do that, it's going to take forever to make all the changes I need to make on this CV. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just going to send this CV as it is. And if I get this job, then definitely God wants me to get this job. I've got to go to this place. So I took one thing off. I think I took the book part off. And I think I changed one date as well on it. And I sent that CV in. I sent the form in. And, it just so happened that form, I think, needed to have been submitted by 12 o'clock on Friday or before 12 o'clock, something like that. But anyway, I got it in through the door before the time. But it was the last day. It was a Friday. I went out, did all my deliveries, sent out my deliveries all over London and got back home in time, for the Sabbath. And I had completely now forgotten about that application because I never heard anything from them. And I wasn't really looking for a job. So it's not something that I was going to go and check if I hear from them or wonder or even worry or even pray about it because I was not looking for a job, right? I was working for myself and I was also still working for restaurants, So I was fine. Now, this is what happened. I don't know if it's a month or 2 months later or so, but sometime later, I heard from Newbold College, and they called me, and we did a couple of interviews online, and then I went in for another interview. When I went in for the interview, a part of my interview was to cook something. So at one stage of my interview, I needed to submit some recipes, I think, and with the costings, which I did, and then I was called in to cook something from what I submitted. And a part of my challenge as well when I got there was to look in their fridge and just create an item on the spot based on the ingredients that is in their fridge. So I did just that. And I remember the principal was not there, but they saved some of the food for him. And I get to understand when the principal came and he tasted the food that I prepared, he said, "She's hired." And that's it. My life made a completely different turn, one that I did not see at all, right there. So I went to Newell College to work. And of course, the health and wellness course, when the summer came around, that I had seen that I wanted to do, I got the course free. I got it as a part of my professional development. So it was an Andrews certificate course, and it was offered through Newbold College. So the lecturers and everyone would come over during the summer, and it would be an intense course over a period of, I think it was about 1 month or so, and then you would have the rest of the term semester to finish up your coursework and everything like that, and then you look forward to coming again the next summer. So it was like that. So I got the course as a part of my professional development, so I did not have to pay for it. So this is how the Lord works, just to say that He works in mysterious and marvelous ways. And now, when I was living in London, and I started wanting to change my life. I didn't want to work. I was still in the restaurant industry, but I wanted a change. I didn't want to continue working in the restaurant industry. I didn't want to be in that environment with all the music, the noise, the smoking, the alcohol. I wanted a change. So I kept asking the Lord, help me out of this city. I didn't want to stay in the city. I wanted to move out of the city. And the Lord helped me to move out of the city. Can you believe that? The Lord helped me to move out of the city. So I was looking for place, right? I was actively looking for place. So I remember going out to all sort of places in London looking for a place, but couldn't find anything that I could afford. It's like when you find something that is affordable, and I mean, what I call affordable is not necessarily cheap. It's still expensive because it is London. So once you start coming close to London, the prices are just high. So the prices are high, but the quality is just dirt rubbish, right? I couldn't live at any of those places. And I kept praying and I keep thinking, God, how is this? And I said, I just want to live outside of London, but I want to live close enough so I could get to work, because clearly I was working in London. So that's the only way I could see things, that if I live outside, but just on one of them tube lines where I could get to work easily, that would work perfect. It would be the ideal situation for me. Now, and I got the job at Newbold College that I was not searching for. I think my first day of work, I got there super late, so I drove to work. But that thing was like, I don't know if it was like 2 or 3 hours away. I did drive to the interview, but I guess because the time of day, may have been no traffic or anything. So I did not have a problem getting there on time for my interview. It was perfectly fine. The time that the sat-nav had suggested, which I can't remember, I got there in time, no hassle, no problem. But when my first day at work, I was supposed to get there in the morning, man, I was like 2 hours late for work. So then, of course, we discussed it and we thought, okay, I needed to move down. So the school then gave me accommodation. I got lodging. And then I eventually transitioned my life because my daughter was still in school in London. But I got an apartment at Newbold where I was able to lodge. And until my daughter finished school, the July, then she moved over, and then I gave up my apartment in London, and that took me out of the city completely. And I'm telling you, where the Lord brought me, I felt like this has got to be a little taste of heaven. Being on Newbold College campus was a little taste of heaven for me. It was so quiet. It was so serene. It was so peaceful. You could feel the presence of the Lord on the campus. It's a place where I could go, and I go into the garden to pray, and I could hear others. I could see others praying. I could hear others praying. I mean, I see people kneeling down in the grass praying. I felt like this has to be heaven. I mean, I know it's not heaven, but it's got to be what heaven must feel like. It was so beautiful. I absolutely loved it there. The air was so pure. It was so clean. It was so fresh. I woke up in the mornings and I'm in my kitchen, and I looked through my kitchen window, and I was looking at reindeer. I went for my walk on the campus, and I was looking at the most rarest birds, beautiful plants, herbs that were just unique. I mean, amazing stuff. It's just so beautiful. And the place is so quiet, and the people were so nice. And I thought, wow, this is just the best thing for me. And I never heard a siren, and I never smelled a smoke. In London, I was inhaling tobacco, weed, everything, every day and night. I was in my bed sleeping, and I had to get up and close my window. I had to get up, look through the window, and ask people to excuse, don't smoke right there. I mean, it was just a complete difference. It was so beautiful. I slept like a baby when I went. When it's night, it's pitch black. It's night. When it's night in London, you're not even sure, unless the streets are empty. Because there's so much light around and there's so much noise, right? So where I used to live before, and I used to live bang on in the heart of Stratford, right? I used to live I'm in my apartment. I'm looking at Theatre Royal. I'm looking at Pizza Express. I am above the Chinese restaurant. I can see all the restaurants. I'm living right there at the shopping center. You have the subway, you have all the fashion stores, you've got the supermarkets, you've got Westfield shopping center. Wherever I turn, I'm just seeing city, right? You've got the Olympic Park right here. So where I was living, you've got the major bus park. So life there used to be, I'm working until like 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night. I'm getting home, which I just lived upstairs, right? So my restaurant was downstairs and I live 3 floors above. I'm getting home, I'm having a shower, and I'm getting in my bed, and I have to lie down there, and I have to wait for the pub, on my complex to close so I can stop hearing the music. Then you have, by the time it's closed and all the theaters are out and everything, then you have the drunken people, coming out from the pub, making a lot of noise, because they're happy, they're loaded with alcohol, so they're happy and just making a lot of noise as if it's broad daylight. So I've got to wait for them to get out of the vicinity and for the area to go quiet. And then as soon as it goes quiet and you think it's sleeping time, then you have some children. And I wonder all the time, where are their parents? How could they let their children out at that hour of the night? They come out on skates, roller skates. And I lived on my apartment complex was on a little slope, and it slopes down into the shopping center. And they would come right at the top where my apartment is, right where my apartment building is, and they would skate on the skates, and they would go right down into the shopping center because that door, it was always left open. So they have all that space. They would just slide down, and the music, they would come with the boom boxes as well at that time, playing the music that they're going to skate to. And sometimes you have to look outside, you've got to run them, you've got to ask them to move, to turn it down. And then they come as well, and some of them smoking weed. When the restaurant's over in the night, you have people coming outside to smoke, and all that smoke is just rising. And I'm on the 3rd floor, so it doesn't have to rise very far, and it's coming in, and I'm trying to sleep. My daughter is there sleeping, and I know, you're just inhaling all of that. And because it's a city, you keep your windows open because you're hot as well. So, it was just no fun right there. I mean, I for the life of me, I could never understand how these apartments fetch so much money, and they are so sought after. Because the only thing is that they're just near to all amenities, but they're not nice to live in. You don't want to live there. You don't want to sleep in one of those places. You could work there, but you don't want to sleep there because it's not a place to sleep. So when I went to Newbold College, 6 o'clock, sunset, the place is just quiet. The place is quiet. You don't hear no noise. Even during the daytime, it's quiet. And then when night comes, I don't hear police siren. I don't hear ambulance. I don't even hear a dog. It's quiet and it's dark, and you sleep like a baby. The buses stop running from early because it's a country. It was the best decision I've ever made in my life. And the Lord was wonderful to have done that for me. My mind was able to detox. My body started detoxing from all the chemicals and stuff around. And I started my course. And when I started my course, my health and wellness course, when I did the module on high blood pressure, because I used to suffer from blood pressure and diabetes, by the way. I was diabetic. Yeah. So I was diabetic and I had the high blood pressure. When I did the module on high blood pressure, I decided, you know what? Let me give this a try. So I went and I did everything that the teacher taught in the class. And I can tell you, and I did it for 2 weeks, and in a week and a half, my high blood pressure was reversed. It was normal after how many, I don't know how long. It came to normal, and I was elated. I was just running and jumping. I was so excited. I was dancing all over campus, jumping about like a baby kangaroo because I was so happy. Because that blood pressure, I remember the nurse used to check me every I don't know, couple of days or so. They used to check my blood pressure and measure me up because I was in the state. I was just at work in the kitchen one day. I was doing a cooking demonstration actually, and I just fainted. All I knew is I woke up, I look up, and everyone was standing over me, looking down, asking, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm thinking, "Yes, I'm okay." And they helped me up and brought me to my office, and I was just shaking. And I thought to myself, what happened? Because the only thing I remember when someone asked me if I was okay. And I don't know what I'd answered saying, but all I remember after that is that I was jumping on a trampoline with some kids. So I was so highly stressed as well that I believe that the Lord was saying to me, you need to let your hair down. You need to relax a bit. Just play a bit. Because that's what I was doing when I fainted. I was just jumping on a trampoline. I was just playing. I was relaxing. And I've had other times when I've just fainted. I was walking home. I fainted on my way home. I fainted in the house. So my blood pressure and my diabetes, they were so bad. But on that health and wellness course, I was able to reverse my high blood pressure. I was also able to reverse that angina from the course. So it had started reversing, but it was not fully gone when I went to New Bold, because I used to still get that tightened chest pain when I overexert myself. But from the course, what I'd learned and I'd implemented it, it reversed it. And then I remember 2017, when I started doing the course, as soon as I learned something, I would send blogs out on WhatsApp. I would just write up blogs and share the information that I've learned in class. And I remember a health leader saw the blog. They just always see my blog, and they were having a health expo at their church. And they asked me if I could present on exercise. And I said yes. And I went and I presented on exercise. And when I was there presenting on exercise, there was a gentleman there that was running a clinic session that they were doing free health checks and doing consultations. And, he preached as well. And the message was so good. And I went over to them and I asked if I could volunteer with their company, with their clinic. And so I could learn and understand more about health to make it really practical. And they said, yes, they're always looking for volunteers. So I went and I volunteered with that health and wellness clinic for 1 year. So I could learn how to help clients with their health, how to prevent and how to reverse diseases naturally with diet, lifestyle, and herbs and, health principles. So I did a year with them, and then I did some training, some medical missionary training as well. And then after that I started my own ministry. Now I understood what ministry meant, that I'm not a pastor and I don't have to be a pastor. So I officially started and I my own ministry, and then I went to College of Naturopathic Medicine, and I did naturopathic nutrition, and I'm still with them, by the way. And I also did some other studies, diet and nutritional advisor, master herbalist, and I'm just into now just working fully for the Lord. So recently, and by the way, all my diseases, I now have a full understanding I now have a full understanding of diseases that I had from 8 years old. How? And the cause. I now understand the cause behind it. So I reversed my angina, my high blood pressure, diabetes, sinusitis, chronic sinusitis. I had a bone that the joint between my lumbar and my sacrum was also calcifying. That too have been reversed. Fibroids, that one I keep forgetting about as well. And the tumor in my gut, oh yes, that too is gone. I mean, trust me, I had so many diseases that oftentimes I don't even remember half of them. When somebody else is mentioning or I hear the name of one mentioned, I'm like, oh yeah, I had that. So that is life in my world at the moment. And I praise the Lord for that. He has done marvelous things for me. And I just want to say, to all our listeners, and I want to say to all our listeners that there is a God in heaven that has your best interests at heart. There's a God, the Supreme Lord. It is not his desire to see any of us sick or in pain. It is his desire to see all of us in good health and strength so that we can serve him and so that we can praise him. And if you're suffering from any disease, he wants to heal you. But I'm going to say this. He has no pleasure in a healthy sinner. And I surrendered my all to the Lord. And that was not easy for me. But I just had to be open and truthful and honest with the Lord. And he helped me. So I remember being on my knees and I was praying and I said, Lord, I need to be changed. And then I said to him, I'm telling you that I need to be changed. But the truth is, I don't even want to be changed. I'm actually afraid of change. But I know I need to be changed. So just do what you have to do, but I'm scared. And I'm just letting you know that I'm scared. But we've got to give our everything to the Lord. And he knows us and he knows our heart. He knows that we can't take everything in one go. And that's why he worked with me step by step by step. He changed me step by step by step. And every change begins with the first step. It's a step by step. Change is a step by step process, but it begins with the first step. His mercies kept me, so I didn't let go. And he healed me of my diseases. And I should tell you, I reverse the signs of aging. You should see my before and after picture. I wish your audience could see my before and after picture. Maybe they could hear and see it on YouTube, The Natural Remedies Kitchen on YouTube. And I have an advert there for my ministry with what I do, and they would see my before and after picture on there. So I was like a size, somewhere a bit about size 22, 24. So that sort of clothes would fit in, some stores, every store fit differently. So there were some stores where I would need it to wear a size 22, 24 to get a decent fit, right? And I've come down to less than half my size. I mean, maybe now I'm about a size 8'10", somewhere there about. But yeah, so less than half my size. And I keep forgetting to say, yes, I reversed the obesity. Praise the Lord. The Lord is good. His mercies are everlasting. His truth endureth forever. And he says, if you love me and if you keep my commandments, we are his friends. And you don't see your friend in a situation and you don't help them. If your friend is in a financial situation, even if it is the last money you have, you will use it to help your friend out of that financial situation. If your friend is hungry and you've got the last slice of bread, you will cut it in two and you will share a piece with your friend. And that's how the Lord sees us. If we fear him and keep his commandments, all of them, he will supply all our needs. And he owns all the cattle on 1,000 hills. He owns this whole world. So there is nothing too great for him to give to you. You just need to ask and he will give it. And yes, as you mentioned, there is one more thing I needed to share with you. So before I left Stratford, where I used to live, and I'm on my journey, with the Lord, and he's changing me every day. Because from the first time I fasted, that was, I think, April 11 to April 17, 2015. That was my first time of fasting. Yeah. So he started changing a lot of things in my life. And as I say, one thing at a time. He doesn't overdo it with us because he knows we can't manage everything in one go. But I'm just going to show you another aspect of my life that the Lord had changed. So as I fast, each time I fast and I finish my fast, my taste buds would change. So two aspects I'm going to share with you. My taste buds, and then how he used me to help others, right? So how my mind became more spiritually inclined as well. So my taste buds would change. And when I go back to eating, I would eat less and less food. In terms of the proportions, I would eat less in terms of the amount that I would eat. Because before, I could eat like a mountain. I mean, I told you how many meals I was eating for the day in part one, right? I would eat fried dumpling with curry goat for breakfast. I would eat a McDonald's breakfast, and I would eat a half a jerk chicken, 2 leg quarters with maybe a slice of bread, or just the leg quarters with hot pepper. But I would be eating that in the morning. And of course, I always had my sweet biscuits and stuff in my bag, so I snack on those right throughout. Anytime I would take those out. And I would still eat my lunch, which would be oxtail with rice and peas. And I would still eat my supper, which would probably be something like a jerk chicken salad. I would have a dessert to go with it, which would be like a crepe. And I would have wine or cocktail or stuff like that. And I'm tasting food as well throughout the day, just to make sure standards and qualities are kept up. And I'm going from restaurant to restaurant. So, I'm eating all steak, all that sort of thing sometimes, and in the evening. So I used to eat a lot. I used to eat right around the clock, and when you see my portions, it used to be a big portion. So each time I fast, my portion would get less and less that I would eat. I wouldn't be able to eat as much as I used to. So I would be filled up on a smaller amount, right? And I'm always able to just let go without even trying to just let go of something from my diet that is not good for my health. So it was the sugar, it was the breads, it was the sweet stuff, it was the fish. No, when I had left that, I had already changed over my life before when I started fasting, I was already a vegetarian. So I had managed to let go of the flesh foods and all of that already. I was able to each time I fast and I come back to eating food, my appetite just didn't go for it anymore, right? I just didn't want that anymore. So I started then going out for plant-based milks. I started going for my plant-based butter. I would bake as well. Because as I said, I used to supply restaurants with cakes, and I just wouldn't. So before, I would be eating up my cakes. I would be enjoying my cakes because I love them. I still love them. I just don't eat them anymore, right? But when I fast, I would be able to come back and I wouldn't need to eat a whole cake. So now when I bake a cake for myself, I would bake a little tiny cake for myself, and I would actually put that cake, leave it in the fridge, because it took me sometimes weeks before it is finished. It always end up in the bin. So when I now started to go to eat a piece of cake, I would eat a thin slice of cake or just a little square of cake. What I would put in my mouth would be 1 or 2 bites of the cake, and that I would be satisfied with. So I was able to, until I was able to just not want the cakes. I still used to bake my fruit cake with alcohol. And I remember the Lord, the Holy Spirit saying to me, don't taste the alcohol. Don't taste the cake when it is raw. And I remember I used to still do that, taste the cake when it is raw. But every time I do it, the Holy Spirit would always say to me, stop tasting the raw cake. And I remember one year when I said to myself, this is the last time I'm going to bake the cake with alcohol. I'm going to start doing the cake completely vegan. No alcohol, use grape juice instead. And I remember when I went and I baked, I was actually fasting that day. And I went and I stick my finger in the butter and I tasted it. And I'm telling you, I just fainted. It knocked me right out. That was the last time I ever tasted a fruitcake with alcohol. And it's like, but each time the Lord helped me I was able to overcome something. Whenever I fast, my taste buds change, and I could just let something go. It was a craving. So, I would go to McDonald's still, and I would want to probably get like a veggie burger or something like that. But then I got to the stage where I no longer had the cravings. So I didn't even want to go to McDonald's to get their veggie burger or their fries or anything like that. I was able to just see McDonald's and just pass it. I could pass KFC. I could smell it, and it no longer appealed to my appetite, to my taste bud. I no longer felt tempted. I more felt like, ew. I started to feel like sick when I smell chicken, I smell meat. It started making me feel sick more than me wanting to go in there or tempted, or trying to hurry. There was a point when I used to just hurry to pass it so I'm not tempted. No, I stopped suffering like that. All of that changed. So that's how the fasting sort of just helped me. And so I was losing the weight, and my metabolism was just really kicking in. And obviously the thyroid problem started reversing as well. And the aloe vera, I was taking the aloe vera, fresh aloe vera every day. No, I was not taking the aloe vera for my tumor, but that aloe vera was helping my tumor. I was taking that aloe vera for weight loss because I heard that aloe vera was good for weight loss. So I used to buy some big giant aloe vera leaves, and I used to take that aloe vera every morning with water, right? So I used to use 2 liters of water to drink that aloe vera, almost 2 liters to drink that aloe vera every morning. And yeah, it was helping my gut, but I didn't even know it was doing that. So the other aspect of my life that it changed, I remember one morning, I started hearing the voice. I was able to now discern the voice of the Lord. So I was lying in my bed, and the Lord woke me up, and this was about 4 a.m. And this is a story. You don't want to miss this, right? Just listen carefully here. Because a lot of times the Lord is probably calling us, and we are missing the voice, the calling of the Lord. So the Lord woke me up about 4 a.m. one morning, and I lay there on my back, and I said, God, why you wake me up at 4 o'clock? And the Lord said, go and exercise. I'm like, God, who goes out to exercise at 4 a.m. in the morning? And the Lord said, go on, man, go out and exercise. And I battled a little bit with the Lord, and then I said, okay, the sleep is gone from me anyway, so might as well I get up and go and exercise. So I got up, put my exercise clothes on, and I started heading out of my apartment. When I was heading out, I was going through the front door of the apartment, and the Lord said, no, go through the back door of the apartment. And I went, God, the back door? I'm like, the back door of my apartment has 2 car parks out there, the upper car park and the lower car park. This is in darkness, right? I'm like, God, who goes out at the back at 4 a.m. in the morning in the car park to exercise? The Lord says, go, I will protect you. So I went through the back door, and I went to the upper car park because there's more light up at the upper car park. And I started walking around the car park, around and around it. And I started praying, and I'm singing as well. And I'm talking to the Lord while I'm exercising. And then the Lord said, now go down to the lower car park. I'm like, God, I'm not going down there. I'm like, down there is dark. Who goes down there? And the Lord said, go on down there. And I started heading down there. And when I started heading, the Lord said, if you see any homeless person, feed them. Seriously, the Lord said that to me. And I went down there. There was a man. This is bang on in the middle of winter, I'm telling you, right? Bang on in the middle of winter. There's a man who made a house from cardboard. Underneath the staircase, he made a house from cardboard. And I went there and I'm calling and I'm saying, hello, hello. And he's not answering. And then he's living in the house with his dog. And the dog starts barking. But it sounds like, you know, them little cute dog, what they call Shih Tzu or, I can't remember their names. Those little baby cute dogs that you carry in your pouch or in your handbag sounded like one of them. So normally I'm afraid of dogs, or used to be. But at that time, I used to be afraid of dogs. I'm not afraid of them anymore. Because I know the Lord has given me dominion over all animals on this earth. Right. So at that time, I was afraid of dogs. But with that little cute voice, I wasn't afraid of that dog. So I carried on calling. And then the man started saying, go away and leave me alone, go away and leave me alone. And I went up closer and I said to him, I said, morning. I said, when you live here, how do you eat? And he says to me, I eat out of McDonald's garbage bin. And I said, wow. I said, would you like some breakfast? And he said, yes, thank you. And I said to him, okay, I'm gonna give you some eggs. And I remember saying eggs, and I'm thinking, and what else have you got up there for breakfast? Nothing else. Because at that particular time in my life, I was not in a good place financially. At that time in my life, I was not in a good place because I had left my business. I'd left everything that I was doing and I was just working. This is when I was just doing my cake and my cake only. So that was my only source of income, right? And I must tell you, I started that cake business for my last 75 pounds. That's another story for another time. My last 75 pounds, I used to start that cake business because I said to the Lord that day, am I gonna buy food, go shopping with this, and my daughter and I should eat our last meal and die, or should I start a business with this? And I'm telling you, I started a business with this last 75 pounds in my name. I remember going back now upstairs and I did the egg for the man. And I'm telling you, sometimes we think our cupboards are empty, but they have more than we think is in them, right? So I did the egg. I found some tomatoes. So I did a typical English breakfast. So some eggs, tomatoes, sausages, some mushrooms, I believe maybe even some baked beans and some toast. And I made a cup of mint tea as well. And I carried it to him. And I gave him the breakfast. And the man was so grateful. He just kept saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. He was so grateful. And that was for him and his dog. And they, I said to them, Jesus loves you. And I left. No, the man only stick up to his head up to collect the food from me. So I saw his face, I saw his hair, I saw his neck. So, I was able to recognize him another time when I saw him. Listen, the Lord taught me a lesson from this, right? And the Lord have many ways of teaching us some lessons. And one was not to judge. When I saw that man, it may have been summer now. It was no longer winter now, it was now summer. Because the next day I went back there, that man was not there, He moved that house. He was not there the next day when I went back to see if he needed some breakfast. Again, he moved the house. But I saw that man, and how I recognized him was the face, the hair, and the neck. And the dog, he had the dog. Listen to me. That was a big old giant pit bull. The man lives within the little cardboard house, right? And that big old thing was barking like a little cute dog. Now, I'm telling you, if I had seen that pit bull that morning, not even the angels could catch me, all right? But that dog, he must have seen angels around me or something, that dog spoke like he's just, that kind of bark he barked, at the man, so the man knew that it was not I was no danger or threat to him. So that's a dog that I would not go near on the road. Now, I'm telling you, the man as well is a man that I would not have gone near to either on the road. So that there was a lesson in that. The man, when I looked at the man, from his neck down where you have the collarbone, from there down, because he was walking, it was summer, and he was walking without shirt. And he had the dog with the chain, right? So the big giant dog reached almost up to his waist. And that man had tattoo from his collarbone right down. I mean, you can barely see the white in his skin. It's all color. It's tattooed all over. Now, the type of person I was, if I had seen that man before, what I would have done, if he's on the right, I would have gone on the left. If he's on the left, I would have gone on the right. And if it's a narrow road, I would have turned back. That would have been how I would have judged that man before. But the Lord used that situation to teach me not to judge. Not to judge. And I'm telling you, I would have just seen that man, because in my head, I have that picture that someone with a lot of tattoos and stuff like that. Hollywood paint this picture that there are bikers and they're going to beat you up or they're bad persons. That's the picture that Hollywood paints in our head. And when you sit down in front of that black box, you have all sort of picture of people, right? Preconceived ideas. So that's what was in my head. And I would have not have given him food if I had met him outside of that box. So when the Lord revealed that to me, that's the man, and I saw that too, he just said to me right away, that's your lesson, judge not. Judge not, because that man was so grateful for that food that you would never believe, right? So that was a couple of lessons there from that, and this is how things really kicked off for me. This is how things really kicked off in my own business. So I gave the man the eggs that morning. The next morning I went there, the man was not there. But another morning, maybe, I don't know if it's a week later or so, the Lord woke me up again at 4 a.m. And the Lord said to me, so I had what I had now was some leftover cakes. So I had made cakes, I think may have been samples or so, but I had about, I don't know, 6 or so cakes that were left over, some small individual portion size cakes. Maybe I was giving them out as samples. I don't remember what I had them for, but I had them left over. The Lord woke me up at about 4 o'clock in the morning and say, go in the shopping center and give those out. And I just followed, and I'm thinking, who am I going to give these cakes to at this hour of the morning? But I got up, I put my clothes on, and I went out, and the Lord directed me this section of the shopping center that I should walk. So this time, not to walk at the back of my apartment or anything like that, but he let me walk through the front. And he said, go right. And I went right, and I walked through the shopping center. And I counted loads of homeless people sleeping. I was in shock, because this is the first I'm seeing this now, right? So that shopping center, after night when everybody's gone, all these homeless people, because that shopping center door was open right throughout the night. They never close the door. The shops just close, but the doors are never closed to the shopping center. Homeless people right throughout the night, they come late, and they would get their cardboard out from under trees where they store it, or in little cribbits and corners where they store their cardboard, and they would come and they would spread it out, and they would sleep right in front of the shop pazers, the shop window. That's where they would sleep. And the Lord just said, just put a cake at their head. And I put a cake at, I gave out all the cakes. I just put it at their heads while they were sleeping. They were still sleeping, so I didn't disturb anyone. And then the Lord put the burden on my heart. So I got up every morning and I would bake cakes. Just a small individual size portion. One of those cakes would serve for probably about 2 persons, or you get 2 servings out of it. 2 nice, decent slice of cake. You would get out of it. I start baking those, those like a foil containers that you would normally eat, you take away from, and then you throw them away. That sort of foil container. I started baking the cakes in those foil container, And I started going out in the early morning, 4 or 5 a.m., and I would just put one at each person's head. And I remember one morning, I put the cake at this man's head. And as I walk away, he jumped up and he said, "You!" He said, "You! Stop!" And I was so frightened because it was really big, thick man. And he said to me, "Are you an angel?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Who are you then?" I wasn't sure what to say to him. I said, "I'm Davina." And I said to him, "You don't want a cake?" And he said, "Yes, yes, yes. I want it. Thank you." And he got up and he was so grateful. He said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And then he woke up everybody. He woke up all the homeless people and he said, "Here she is. She's the lady." He said, "She's the angel." And they all were so grateful. I had homeless people hugging me up, kissing me, telling me thanks, thanks, thanks for the cake. And then I started developing and I mean, this is going to another level, right? I started developing a relationship with these homeless people, right? So I started, I started sitting down and having talks with them on their ends, right there in the shopping center, just talking with them. And I say, I started finding out how they live, how they keep themselves clean, how they eat, how they wash their clothes. And they started telling me how they do it. I mean, different ones of different things. I started finding out, how did you become a homeless? And I'm telling you this. I mean, I'm not going to go into their stories, but I am telling you today, any one of us, me right now, you right now, no matter where you are in life, you can become homeless tomorrow. It takes nothing. This world has a system and it's circular. And you're either in the ring or you're outside of the ring. When you're outside of the ring, you're homeless, you're poor, you're cast out of society. Society is a circle. And if you get out, you are out. And if you're in, then you're okay. You can make it, you can survive, you can get on. But once you get outside of that ring, you are locked out. You are like the leper that had to stay outside of the city until you're either healed or until you die. And it's very unlikely that a leper gets healed. But Jesus Christ can heal anyone. And only Him can save you. When you're outside of that ring, only He can provide for you. Only He can make a life for you outside of that ring. Only Him you can depend on. When you hear some of the stories how these people became homeless, some people had big jobs, houses, they were well off, well sustained in life, and things just happen. You go in today to work, you probably just come back from holiday, you spend up loads of money on your credit cards, or you spend cash and you've just used up a lot of money, and you probably just take out a mortgage, or you just bought a car. We have times when we just spend and you may just bring yourself right down to the last penny, but you're getting your check month end, our monies will come in from business or so month end. But just in that time when you're right there, your bank account is at zero, you can find yourself in a very precarious situation. You could be fired. You could get fired just like that. Your boss who doesn't like you could just fire you. You could just go into work late, or you could just meet in an accident. Something could happen and your financial situation can change overnight. And you miss 3 months mortgage or 3 months rent, and you could find yourself outside on the streets. And that's how a lot of people end up on the streets, just like that. And it's not like they are dunce or illiterate or born poor or anything like that. And nothing is wrong with you being born poor. So I'm not giving that impression that, anything like that. But it means, what I'm trying to say is, you've got a lot of persons who you are on the street who you don't think would have been on the street because they are coming from money, where they have money or they're financially stable and they're intelligent, they can work, they have, but they find themselves on the street and find themselves outside of the circle. Because when you find yourself on the street and you don't have an address, and I'm talking about things may be slightly different in the Caribbean and third world countries, but when I'm talking about those developed countries, you get kicked out of your house and you don't have an address, you can't have a bank account. You don't have a bank account, you can't pay your bills. You can't get a job because you can't get a job without a bank account. So you're outside. When you're out, and you stay out and you stay down until somebody helps you. So I was able to help back a few of those homeless persons to get back into society, to get back into jobs. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out there who need our help, and we've got to help them. So I'm sharing this with you now to sort of open your eyes. And I'm hoping that you will now be able to look around you and see homeless persons and help them. So along with the cake now, you know what I find out? How do you keep yourself clean? I remember one man telling me he joined the gym. So he begged money, and the gym allowed him to pay £5 for the month, which is nothing, right? Just so he could use the shower. So he'd go in and he would use the shower. He would beg money, and when he have enough, he would take his clothes to the laundromat and he would wash. You've got some people there new on the streets. They don't even know the ropes. They don't even know how to get by. Parents, they fall out with parents put them out, or they're with relatives, and relatives, they leave. Some people leave the Caribbean and go abroad, and then they fall out with their relatives, and their relatives put them out. So I don't want to talk about some of the things, but I just want to let you know that the Lord used me in this instance, in this situation, to help a few homeless persons to get back into society. I took two into my house. I took two into my home, right? And helped them. And not like I had space, because I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in a flat in the middle of London. That means the rooms are not big. That is what it means, right? And I took two persons in, a man with his child, and a lady who was under a bus stop crying in the snow, a Jamaican lady, and she was much more older than me. But I'm telling you something. This lady that I had taken in, and I had taken her in before I started my cake business, and before I met these homeless people that were on the street. I met this lady in a different situation outside of this sort of setting. I met her, and I had helped her by taking her in, to my house, and I helped her and she helped me, right? Because it was when she came to my house, she's the one that taught me, and she's as I said, much older lady for myself. She taught me how to bake the Jamaican sweet potato pudding with the hallelujah on top. She as well is one that taught me how to make the Jamaican fruit cake for weddings and stuff. So I learned so much from her. And it is that skill that she had taught me that I actually utilized to start a business of my own that the Lord blessed. So when I started making the cakes now for these homeless persons, there was a time as well when there were some children in Jamaica who were not able to return to school, about 6 of them, I think. And I decided to help, and I decided to help by baking these cakes. And this is how my business also expanded. I baked the cakes and I took them now to barber shops, any business place on the high street. I would just take it in there, and I said to them, I'm selling the cakes for this price. I'm trying to raise funds to pack 2 barrels to send back to Jamaica with back to school items to help to some children to return to school whose parents cannot afford it. I gave them the cake, and they bought it to support the mission. But listen, everybody who ate those cakes, every business place that tasted the cake, called me back to stock the cake. So my little business that I'd started on my own, in my own little kitchen, it grew to the point where it grew out of my kitchen, and I needed to get a commercial kitchen. Then it reached, it went on someone else's pallet that the largest Caribbean and African food distributor in the UK tasted my cakes, and they called me and they said, "We want to stock your cakes." I'm just showing you how the Lord works, all right? I'm just showing you how the Lord works. We had one of the largest patty companies in the UK called me. They wanted to help me to grow my business. So the Lord works in amazing, mysterious ways, all right? But if I did not help that lady to take her into my house, I would not have learned that skill. Jamaican sweet potato pudding, cornmeal pudding, fruit cake, banana bread, carrot cake, red velvet, coconut cake, drops, gizzard, all them things. If I did not take her into my house, I would not have learned that skill. From that skill, if I did not choose to help these children that needed help to go back to school, my business would have not have mushroomed and blossomed. Right? And me going out there to help those homeless persons, when I needed to move from London now to Newbold College, and I didn't have time, so I came down. I had like an overnight, so I left Newbold and I came down an overnight to pack all my things out of my 2-bedroom apartment to move them now to London, to Newbold and Bracknell. And I had a van, and one of my friends drove it for me, but I couldn't pack all that furniture myself and everything. You know who helped me pack? All them homeless persons. I just go out and call one, and he just called everybody, and everybody come, and in no time my apartment cleared out and packed. And you know what? All those homeless persons, I tell you something. When it was time for church, my church was having a campaign. I think I don't know if it was a Revelation seminar or what, but they were having a campaign. And I went and I invited these homeless persons to church. And you know what they said to me? They said, "We will come because it is you." They said, "If it was any other Christian that invited us, we would not go." And I said, "Why?" And they said, "When we are," and I want everybody to listen to this. This is a sober thought. This should sober us all up. They said, "When we are hungry and the Christians are passing, going to work, and we beg them, they walk on the other side and they ignore us and they don't give us. But whenever their church is having anything, these very same people come and give us tracts and inviting us to come to their events at their church. But we would never go." They said, "Because it's you, we will come." Listen, I pack up my car, even 2 in the front in England, 4 in the back, drive them to my church and carry them go there to the campaign. And when I was leaving, I said to them, they knew I was leaving, I was moving, because obviously they helped me to move. I said to them, "My church cook food every Sabbath. Every Sabbath they have free lunch up there." Some said they won't go if I'm not there. But you know what? I've had people calling me, because I give them my number. They call me. I have them asking me for Bible. For Bible. Right? So this is how the Lord works. You've got, there are people there who used to be on the streets or homeless, who are no longer homeless. They now have jobs. They now integrate back into society, have an apartment for themselves, and helping other homeless persons. So I just want to say the Lord has a work out there for us to do. And when we help others, there is such a blessing in it that there is nothing to lose. There's nothing to lose. There's so much blessing, right? And I'm just encouraging us today. If you see someone who's homeless, help them, because the Lord will multiply your blessings, right? He will multiply your blessings. So when I realized how people became homeless, I knew that I could be homeless at any time. And I was at a point in my life when I feared that I was going to become homeless as well. But the Lord kept me, and He preserved me, and He provided for me, and my situation changed, and it changed, and it changed, and it changed. So I'm just saying, our God is awesome. He's wonderful. But listen, learn to hear and learn to listen, because there's a difference between hearing and listening. So learn to hear and learn to listen to the voice of the Lord. And with that, I ask the Lord's blessings upon this ministry, and I want to thank you for bringing me on this program. May the Lord bless you and continue to use you. Amen.